Hi, I'm John Garone from Garden State Adventures, and today we're going to get into the basics of black powder shooting. And then afterwards we're going to take it to the range and we're going to do some actual shooting. Right here I have three different kinds of rifles. We'll start out with the real basic, and this is called a flintlock. The next one is a percussion rifle, and this is called a Hawkins. And then the last one is a modern rifle, and it is called an inline. Now, they all are basically the same in loading, except for the ignition system. The flintlock has a flint flash pan, and you put your 4F powder in the flash pan, close it, and the flint makes a spark and ignites it. That's the one ignition system. The Hawkins is a percussion in which you use a number 11 percussion cap. And when this goes off, the spark has to go a little sideways and then ignites it. The inline rifle has not a percussion cap, it uses a shotgun primer. And they call it inline because it's a straight line. And basically this is usually always goes off. It's very dependable. They're all loaded, they're front loaders, they're all loaded the same way. And there's different kind of powders. Normally you use a 2F powder for black powder, and it comes in granular form. See this? And it also comes in pellets. Now these pellets, they're pre-measured. They're 50 grains of powder a piece. And in the modern ones, you can go up to 150 grains, so it would be 3 of these pellets. Now these aren't black powder, it's like a black powder substitute. This is Pyrodex. And this is also a substitute for black powder. You can use these in the percussion and in your inline. You can't use it in your flintlock. Flintlock has to be strictly black powder because it ignites faster. And you have to have a measurer for the grains of powder that you're going to use if you're not using the pellets. Pellets, you don't need a measurer. And when you're at the range and you could do testing and stuff, but normally you won't go much more than 120 grains in a Hawken. In the flintlock, I usually do like 70 grains. So I find what the best thing to do is, once you find the grain that you're going to use, you set your measurer to 70. You put your powder in it, and what I do is I put it in containers. So when you go to the range, they're already pre-measured, so you don't have to go crazy, and you make sure you always mark on it the type of powder you have and the grains you're using. After you put your powder in, you have to put your projectile in. And in the flintlocks, normally they always used the round ball. And you use a patch. And normally it's a lubricated patch. What you do is you put this in your front of your barrel, after your powder's in, of course, and I will load one up for you in a second. And that's a round ball. You could use them basically in all of them. The next is a sabot, which is a plastic sleeve. Now the only thing with this is all these guns are 50 caliber. When you use a sabot, it's not a 50 caliber anymore. I think it's a 44 caliber. But it's much faster. The velocity is much better. And they also have leads. They're not balls. They're hollow point bullets. And you can also use these. So they're great for hunting. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to load up one for you. I'm going to load up the flintlock. Before I load up the flintlock, always make sure they're unloaded. And the best way to do that is to take your ramrod, put it down the barrel when it's unloaded. After you put your powder in, you're going to find that your ramrod is going to stick up maybe 3 inches or so. And it's a good idea to take a little file and mark it here. So you'll always know if the bullet is set right, and you'll know if the gun was empty or not. Before I load it, see if this is going to work. In the Frizzen, you use 4F powder, and that's lots of times you'll do this to make sure you clear the hole, and we'll see what happens. Now what that does, the spark, after the flash pan, the spark will go in and hopefully ignite your powder, and your bullet will go out. Now I'm going to take a pre-measured tube. This happens to be 70 grains of powder. Always hold the muzzle of the barrel away from you. Always hit it on the side, make sure the powder gets down. Now these are pre-lubricated. If you don't, they have lubrication you can put on it by hand. What also you should have is a bullet starter. Bullet is set on the powder. Now, this gun can be put in a gun case and you can travel with it this way. It's considered unloaded, as long as you don't have powder in the flash pan. The other ones, if they're loaded, and actually these ones are loaded, they don't have any caps on them, they also can be transported legally. They're considered unloaded. And I think that's about the basics of it. We're going to go now to the range and we'll see if they go off. I have some fun, because it is a lot of fun to shoot them. Here we are at the Fish and Game official target range. There's a number of them in the state. We happen to be the one in Walpack Valley. Now we're going to start shooting the black powder rifle. It's going to be the flintlock, and then we're going to shoot the inline and the Hawkins. It's going to be a lot of fun. Watch it. Now we're getting ready to shoot the flintlock. First thing you have to remember, you always have to have your ear protection and of course your eye protection. That's basically the law, and it's good common sense. Now I'm going to prime the flash pan. Now we're ready to shoot. Let's hope it goes off. Okay, now we're going to reload the inline with my pre-measured. I'm using 100 grains of powder. Put the bullet in. Next is the primer. And my ear protection, of course. And now we're going to shoot it. Okay, now we're going to shoot the Hawkins percussion. Basically, this is the gun that started it all in the beginning of muzzle loaders. We didn't have inline rifles at that point. Now we're going to reload the Hawkins with the pre-measured powder. Bullet. Now the primer. We're ready to shoot. Okay, as you can see now, we have 3 bullets in the target. The top one was from the Hawkins, the bottom one was from the Flintlock, and the one that's just about dead center is the inline with the scope. It's extremely accurate and excellent for hunting. I hope you enjoyed this segment on black powder shooting. I know I did. It's a wonderful sport. If you're not into it, I suggest you buy a rifle and get outfitted and start. It's just wonderful. This is John Garone. Until next time, for Garden State Adventures. See you then.